Did you know that the food industry invests nearly $30 million annually to lobby against health regulations in the United States alone? It's a staggering figure, isn't it? $30 million? That's the budget of a small city or the price of a luxury yacht. But instead, it's being funneled into an industry that holds our health in its hands. It's an unsettling reality that underscores the power dynamics at play in our society. This isn't about buying a couple of politicians a nice lunch. We're talking about a systematic, well-funded effort to shape policies, laws, and regulations to favor the interests of the food industry. It's a strategy that has broad implications, affecting everything from the ingredients in our meals to the way food is marketed to us and our children. Imagine what could be achieved if that money was invested in our health instead. Nutritional education programs, subsidies for healthier food options, research into the long-term effects of our dietary choices. The possibilities are endless, yet they remain unexplored, overshadowed by the pursuit of profit. The question of ethics looms large over this issue. Is it right for corporations to wield such influence over our health? Is it fair that they can shape the narrative, dictate the rules, and tip the scales in their favor? Think about it. The people making decisions about what we eat are not nutritionists or doctors. They are businessmen and lobbyists, motivated not by our well-being but by the bottom line. They may not have sinister intentions, but their priorities are clear. After all, a healthier population might mean fewer sales of processed, high-profit margin foods. This is a world where the almighty dollar often outweighs the value of a human life, where profit is prioritized over people, where the food on our plates is shaped more by politics than by nutritional science. And so, we find ourselves at a crossroads. The path we choose will define not just our health, but the health of generations to come. We must ask ourselves, is this the price we are willing to pay for our health? But how does this lobbying work, and who is really pulling the strings? Let's pull back the curtain and take a look. Lobbying, in its simplest form, involves influencing decision-makers to sway in favor of a particular interest or cause. It's a complex dance between lobbyists, politicians, and corporations, each with their own agendas and motivations. Lobbyists, often former politicians or government officials, are the middlemen in this transaction of influence. They're hired by corporations to use their connections and expertise to persuade lawmakers to make decisions that favor their clients. These decisions could be about anything from tax laws to environmental regulations, and yes, even our food and health policies. Now let's talk about the puppeteers in this grand spectacle, the corporations. These powerful entities often have deep pockets and are willing to invest heavily to ensure their interests are protected, even if those interests conflict with public health. They're the ones who hire lobbyists, fund political campaigns, and essentially set the stage for the policies that govern our lives. This brings us to the concept of revolving door politics. Picture this. A high-ranking government official leaves their position and steps into a cushy job in the private sector, often in an industry they were once regulating. This revolving door between government and industry creates a pernicious cycle, blurring the line between public service and private gain. The food industry, for example, has been known to exploit this revolving door. Former regulators often end up working for big food corporations, using their insider knowledge and connections to further the corporation's agenda. This can lead to policies that prioritize profit over public health, allowing harmful substances in our food or misleading marketing practices. In this hidden world of lobbying, it's easy to see who holds the real power. It's a web of influence spun by corporations and lobbyists, with our politicians caught in the middle. It's a game of power and profit, with our health hanging in the balance. The consequences of this lobbying are far-reaching and deeply concerning. Imagine a world where the food on your plate, the very sustenance that fuels your existence, is driven by profit rather than nutrition. This is not some dystopian future, it's our present reality. The lobbying efforts by the food industry have serious implications on our health, and we're going to delve into that right now. Let's take a look at the obesity epidemic. In the past few decades, we've seen a sharp rise in obesity levels, particularly in developed nations. It's no coincidence that this also coincides with an increased consumption of processed foods. These foods often contain high amounts of sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats, all of which contribute to weight gain and related health problems. Yet, these are the very foods that are pushed to the forefront of our supermarkets, promoted by powerful food corporations. Then, there's the alarming decline in nutritional standards in schools. School cafeterias are increasingly serving processed, low-quality foods. Why? Because it's cheaper, and the food industry lobbyists have made sure it's the easier option. But at what cost? Our children are growing up on a diet that sets them up for a lifetime of poor health and potential diseases. And let's not forget the rise of processed foods. Packed with artificial preservatives, flavorings, and colorings, these foods are a far cry from the fresh, wholesome foods our bodies need. Yet they're marketed as convenient and tasty, masking the health risks they pose. The food industry's lobbying efforts have ensured that these products dominate our food landscape regardless of the damage they do to our health. The manipulation doesn't stop at what's on our plates. Lobbying also influences health policies and research. Studies that could expose the health risks of certain foods are often suppressed, while policies that could regulate harmful food practices are blocked. All in the name of profit. Our food, our bodies, our lives are being manipulated for profit. It's time we take a stand and demand better, because our health is worth more than their bottom line. Yet while we suffer, these corporations paint a rosy picture. Welcome to the art of deceptive marketing. It's a labyrinth of misleading health claims, crafty word plays, and glorified images, all designed to make us believe that what we're consuming is healthy. Let's take a walk down the supermarket aisle. You'll see boxes and cans plastered with claims of low-fat, sugar-free, organic, high in fiber. These buzzwords are intended to lure us into believing that these products are healthy, nutritionally balanced, and good for us. But more often than not, low-fat means high in sugar, sugar-free is loaded with artificial sweeteners, and organic might be a mere marketing gimmick. But the deception doesn't stop there. It seeps its way into the vulnerable minds of our children. Cartoon mascots and superheroes are used to promote sugary cereals, fast food, and unhealthy snacks. The bright colors, the playful characters, the promise of fun, they all serve to mask the unhealthy reality of these products. This is not just misleading, it's a manipulation of innocence. And let's not forget about the healthy, fast food options. Salads doused in high-calorie dressings, wraps filled with processed meats, smoothies overflowing with sugar. They're all marketed as the better choice. But in reality, these options are often just as unhealthy as their greasy counterparts. Are you feeling deceived yet? Well, that's because you are. These corporations are not just selling food, they're selling illusions, dressed up as health and wellness. They're exploiting our desires to live healthier lives, our concerns about obesity and diabetes, our fears of heart disease and cancer. The sad truth is that these deceptive practices are not just legal, they're encouraged. In the competitive world of food marketing, the one who can craft the most convincing illusion wins. In this world of smoke and mirrors, it's hard to see the truth. But it's there, lurking beneath the glossy packaging and catchy slogans, and it's time we start looking for it. But there is hope. There are those who are fighting back. In the shadows of this behemoth that we call the food industry, there are glimmers of resistance. Activists, scientists, and policymakers are gearing up, ready to take on the fight for our health and the future of food. There are grassroots movements that are sprouting all over the world. They're not just educating people about the dangers of unhealthy food, but also promoting alternatives like organic farming and plant-based diets. These activists are challenging the status quo, pushing for transparency and accountability in the food industry. Meanwhile, in the hallowed halls of science, researchers are tirelessly debunking the myths propagated by the food industry. They're painstakingly peeling back the layers of deception, revealing the truth about the impact of processed foods on our health. Their work is crucial in combating the misinformation spread by the industry and arming us with the knowledge to make healthier choices. And then there are the policymakers, the ones who hold the power to effect change on a grand scale. They are the ones who can put pressure on the industry, enforcing stricter regulations on advertising and labeling. They are the ones who can make it mandatory for companies to disclose what goes into their products, to give us, the consumers, the right to make informed decisions about what we put in our bodies. But this fight isn't just about them, it's about us. We, the consumers, have the power to drive change. By making conscious choices, by opting for healthier alternatives, we can send a clear message to the food industry. We're not just passive consumers anymore. We demand transparency, we demand accountability. The battle is not yet lost. The power to change lies within us.